It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222, your emails at randykabc@gmail.com, and search for the KABC News Blitz wherever you get your podcasts. The stalemate in Washington is going on and on and on, and the hurting is just getting worse and worse and worse. People like air traffic controllers are now going without a full paycheck. You have people that are possibly losing their benefits when it comes to food assistance and SNAP and CalFresh. And I don't care at this point who started it. I don't care whose side is the one that's holding this up. I wish everyone could get in a room and come up with some kind of compromise, because this is a whole lot of unnecessary nonsense. But unnecessary nonsense is what both sides of Congress are known for. But the latest thing that people are freaking out about when it comes to this government shutdown is it means that starting on Saturday, if you are on food stamps, you're not going to have them. What does this mean? Let's go to ABC 7.
Negotiations to reopen the government remain at a standstill this morning as the government shutdown now drags into its 27th day. This week, more than 42 million Americans.
By the way, are members of Congress getting paid?
This week, more than 42 million Americans could lose their food assistance benefits, and we could start to see serious travel trouble at airports across the country, including, of course, LAX. ABC's Christian Cordero has the very latest.
Today, the clock is ticking in Washington to find common ground as time and money runs out on federal programs millions of Americans rely on.
And is anyone even talking to each other? I don't care about the saber rattling and the press conferences. No, this is their fault. No, this is their fault. Nobody has a supermajority in Congress. This isn't the state of California. Come up with a deal. Find some compromise. You got to give a little. You got to get a little. This is pathetic.
Funding for SNAP food assistance is set to run dry at the end of this week. Some 42 million Americans use the benefit to put food on the table.
By the way, that statistic in itself is an indictment of things that are wrong with this country. What is that? A seventh? We got, 350 million people, and we got nearly 50 million people on this. So 1/7 of everyone in this country is on food assistance. That's a problem.
It's time to call on people to donate. Absolutely. And time to call on government officials to get back to work.
The gridlock at the Capitol enters its fourth full week, with most Democrats holding firm on their demands to restore Obamacare tax credits.
That's what this whole fight is for. We'll get into that later. But the hill they go to stand on is extending subsidies for health care so it doesn't get even more expensive. Okay? Of course, you got to remember subsidies are a two-way street. Yes, the person who is paying the premium gets that subsidy, but who else gets that subsidy? The insurance company that definitely doesn't need it.
Something Republicans want to negotiate after the government reopens. As the stakes get higher, Republicans point the finger at Democrats.
Here's the very simple and important fact that no one should forget. We have no ability. Republicans do not have the ability to do this on our own.
The U.S.
Yeah, so come up with a deal. Find some kind of middle ground. Isn't that what the whole country was founded on? You can't do my way or the highway.
The USDA, which oversees SNAP benefits, put a partisan message on its website blaming Democrats. Democrats largely blame Republicans in Congress and President Trump himself for refusing to negotiate. In Massachusetts, more than 1 million people are set to lose SNAP benefits.
Sadly,
it's like 4.5 million in the state of California.
President Trump has chosen to take away food from people all around this country.
And this is what this is going to be. First, it was, all the soldiers aren't getting paid and the air traffic controllers aren't getting paid. And that's what Democrats are doing. No, that's what Republicans are doing. Now it's the Democrats want you to go hungry. No, it's the Republicans want you to go hungry. I've had it with all of them. It's this kind of partisan hackery is why I will always be a no party preference voter.
The shutdown has already impacted air travel, with air traffic controllers among those forced to work without pay, leading to staffing delays when anyone calls out.
The Democrats can solve that problem with air traffic control. All they have to do is say, the country's open. We only need 5 votes.
Regarding SNAP funds, the USDA appeared to contradict an earlier plan to potentially use emergency funds to extend the benefit. Throughout the shutdown, the administration has moved funds around to protect other programs. But for SNAP, it now says the emergency fund is only for Americans in disaster areas and must be approved by Congress. Christiane Cordero, ABC News, Washington.
And that fact right there actually led to a lawsuit from the state of California, as well as several other states, saying, wait a second, if the agriculture department that handles SNAP has money, why aren't they spending it? And what do you know? That means it's more star time for Rob Bonta and Gavin Newsom, as they are now suing the federal government to keep the benefits a-coming. Here's KCRA 3.
And with the government shutdown still going on, California is suing the Trump administration over federal food assistance benefits. Millions of Californians depend on the program known as SNAP or CalFresh.
KCRA 3 political director Ashley Zabala joins us.
By the way, there's small things in this business that give you joy. Hearing Ashley Zavala of KCRA 3 get promoted from Capitol correspondent to political director is one of those things that gives me joy, because she's one of the best.
Director Ashley Zabala joins us now with today's action.
Yeah, this is California's 45th lawsuit against the Trump administration. California Attorney General Rob Bonta and Governor Gavin Newsom announced that lawsuit today, along with 20 other states. They claim...
By the way, that means 45 press conferences where Rob Bonta gets to act all sanctimonious.
Along with 20 other states. They claim the Trump administration is withholding money it could be using to provide food stamps to millions of Americans this upcoming month. 5.5 million Californians rely on this assistance specifically.
From this week. 5.5. So what is that? Let's see. There's 40 million people in the state. 5.5. Like 12% of Californians are on that program. I mean, it's not as bad as Medi-Cal, where it's like 20%, but still, that's an indictment. That's a big problem.
The impacts in their state, ironically, are disproportionate. Rural, red parts of this country, the impacts to these cuts are disproportionate. That said, the reason I'm not shocked is these are the same group of people in the Republican Party representatives that supported the big, beautiful bill that looked to cut $186 billion from SNAP over the next decade. They approve that.
Well, let's not pretend that there isn't waste, fraud, and abuse in the SNAP program. There is plenty. There's plenty of people that need it, but there's plenty of people that defraud that system. And there's also the whole thing, and this goes to corruption on both sides, of all the things you're allowed to use on SNAP. Like, I don't know, drive through at McDonald's.
They approve that. They promoted that.
Because, food deserts. Some people have no other option but to get a Big Mac. So what are we going to do? Tell them they've got to go far away to a grocery store? By the way, I think you can use CalFresh and SNAP and all that stuff on Instacart. So even if you're not able to get around, you should be able to get something from a grocery store. But here we are. That's another problem for another day.
They approve that. They promoted that. This is their policy. This is what they support. This is in many...
And again, if this is very important, then maybe also the Democrats should come to the table and figure out, okay, what's the compromise? We've had this going for 27 days. Nobody's budging. Do we really need to keep playing chicken? This is so irritating.
This is in many respects a preview of things to come.
And now Gavin Newsom gets to once again insert himself into national politics based on this.
Now, we reached out to the White House, who referred us to the Office of Management and Budget. In a statement, OMB said, quote, Democrats chose to shut down the government knowing full well that SNAP would soon run out of funds. It doesn't have to be this way, and it's sad they are using the families who rely on it as pawns, end quote.
Once again, more saber rattling. And look what they're doing. No, wait, look what they're doing. It's all frustrating. All of these people are supposed to serve the American people, and they're not. All the Democrats and all the Republicans. I'm sure there's plenty of people in the middle, but leadership on both sides don't want to talk to each other, and that's pathetic.
So that was from a spokesperson that was saying that how soon could the courts act on this?
Yeah, that's really the question now. Attorney General Rob Bonta said essentially that they could act as soon as potentially by the end of today or tonight. It could be at some point this week. They have filed a temporary restraining order to try to get the Trump administration to just provide these backfilled funds for November. But again, with this government shutdown continuing, a lot of questions about the timeline overall on these SNAP benefits.
All right, I do know.
Well, and maybe in smaller states this isn't possible, but in California, we've got money. Maybe you got to backfill that yourself for a few weeks. I don't know.
I do know on the KCRA3 app and KCRA.com, we've got a list of places to go if you or someone you know does need help with food.
Yeah, there's all kinds of people paying attention now to food banks and all this other thing. And gosh, I feel for you if you're really dependent on this and this is going away. Can we come to some kind of an agreement? But of course, it's not just the food stamps that are a big problem. Something that really bothers me about this is you have so many unbelievably essential workers that have been working for free for nearly a month now. And we've gotten to the point where it's not even like they were just not going to get their check just yet. No, now we've missed an entire pay period. And that includes with one of the hardest jobs there is, one of the hardest jobs to recruit for, and one of the most essential jobs we have in the entire country, air traffic controllers. And what do you know? They're continuing to have to work without getting paid. I'm not surprised they're doing sick outs and delaying airports like LAX and Burbank and O'Hare and DFW to make their point every day that this is unacceptable. Why are these people on the, we've got to make a deal to be able to fund them? This is all nonsense.
We're now in day 28 of the government shutdown with still no end.
Here's KGL.
We're now in day 28 of the government shutdown with still no end in sight. The House remains out of session this week. Today, air traffic controllers in the Bay Area and across the country are set to miss their first full paychecks.
Air traffic controllers are legally required to show up to work, but many are calling out sick. It's leading to
I don't blame them. That is such a stressful job and such a hard job you have to go the training. It weeds out so many people because it is so difficult. The technology is incredibly antiquated. All of these places are understaffed, so one or two call-outs means you have what happened at Burbank Airport over the weekend where, okay, we got to delay flights, and everyone from San Diego is going to be monitoring this.
It's leading to delays and cancellations at airports across the U.S.
Yesterday alone, over 4,000 flights were delayed. ABC 7 News reporter Zach Fuentes is live at SFO this morning with more on this travel impact. Zach?
Yeah, so far, thankfully, there have been no major delays reported here locally. But this month alone, since this shutdown, we know that there have been impacts to other airports. Starting on October 6th, we're at the Hollywood Burbank Airport. There were no air traffic controllers for hours, and operations there had to be run remotely during that time. And then just this...
I was flying that week. It was a little stressful.
Just this weekend at LAX, there was a ground stop Sunday because of staffing issues. And the president of the Air Traffic Controllers Union released a statement saying, quote, with each passing day, controllers become more distracted by the risk of receiving a $0 paycheck on October 28th, despite working 40 hours per week and, in many cases, mandatory overtime due to the controller staffing shortage. Experts say not getting paid can add stress to an already high-pressure job.
We have not had enough air traffic.
If you've ever seen the second season of Breaking Bad, you know what can go wrong when these people are overstressed.
We have not had enough air traffic controllers in decades, and these folks are out on the front lines here without paychecks now for the first time, and we cannot expect them to do the job that they are expected to do.
On Fox News Sunday, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy blamed Democrats for the shutdown and what's happening to controllers. Democrats have been demanding that Republicans pass extensions of Affordable Care Act subsidies before the government is reopened. So the FAA said that as shortages continue, it will slow traffic into airports to make sure that things stay safe for travelers. We're live at SFO. Zach Fuentes, ABC 7 News.
So what is this all about? What is the hill that the Democrats in Congress are dying on for this? What is the Schumer thing here? What is the Jeffries thing here? It's subsidies for the Affordable Care Act, known in California as Covered California. Okay, let's see exactly what will happen if those things expire at the end of the year. Here's ABC 10 in Sacramento.
In State Matters tonight, as many federal programs sit in limbo, the future of health care remains especially uncertain.
California leaders are warning some health care premiums could skyrocket as soon as next year. ABC 10 State Matters political reporter Jenny Huh has a breakdown.
Lower tax credits mean higher insurance premiums. That's the reality facing the near 2 million Californians.
Our system's such a mess.
Under Covered California, as the debate over the Affordable Health Care Act or Obamacare continues on Capitol Hill.
And I got to tell you, I've always had a bone to pick with the ACA. Because I was working at another radio station when that thing passed. And the way it was written and all the deals that had to get through to get it to pass put out so many loopholes with employers, including the one I was working for at the time, Clear Channel, also known now as iHeart, that, we're going to have to give employees health care unless they work less than 20 hours a week. So you know what the mandate was for all the below-the-line employees at a number one talk radio station in Los Angeles, the one that's 640 on the radio dial? Nobody can work more than 20 hours a week because then we'd have to give you health care. So I lost money on that. I couldn't make more than $300 a week at that job. And then they wanted to offer me a full-time job with benefits, but the pay was so low that I actually made less money. It's bizarre. Another story for another day.
Shop around from a number of name brand health insurance plans and then receive, in most cases, a tax credit to help them pay for the cost of that coverage.
That's what Covered California as an insurance marketplace allows people to do. State data shows enrollment increased by 24% in 2021 when Congress, as part of its response to the COVID-19 pandemic, temporarily expanded eligibility by getting rid of an income cap.
And when you expand an entitlement, good luck ever getting it to expire. Good luck ever getting it to retract. Even though we can't come to a deal on this, whoever's in charge of the government, when people all of a sudden have to pay more for it, it doesn't matter who started it, it's not going to look good on you. But, of course, these are the hills that we're dying on.
Also called enhanced premium tax credits.
Middle-income consumers can get tax credits for the first time. And they replaced that cap with a rule that said no one should pay more than 8.5% of their household income on their health insurance coverage.
Well, that would be nice. But of course, the way we get there is with subsidies. And the subsidies, like I said, are two-way because sure, the person paying the premium gets the subsidy, but so does the insurance company. It's just like when you allow Pepsi to be bought with food stamps. Yes, the person buying the Pepsi gets that subsidy, but you know who else gets that subsidy? Pepsi. I have always joked about the fact that, Walmart is a place that you can use food stamps. And Walmart's employees are paid so little, they're on food stamps. And then where do they use those food stamps? Walmart. They're triple dipping.
It also temporarily provided more tax credits to those lower income. But all of this is set to expire at the end of this year. This is where the government shutdown and congressional gridlock comes in. Democrats don't want the subsidies to sunset. Republicans argue they were always meant to be temporary. California Congressman Kevin Kiley is in the middle.
We need to have some sort of temporary extension.
Well, out of everything that's come out with the shutdown and Prop 50, he has come out as one of the most middle-of-the-road, common-sense, nonpartisan guys I have seen.
We need to have some sort of temporary extension of the existing subsidies, but ultimately we can't continue to have healthcare costs in this country continue to grow.
Covered California says they notified at least 400,000 enrollees that their costs may be higher.
And if you've seen what these premiums are going to look like, yeah, it's quite a sticker shock, especially if you've been paying this reduced rate for years and years and years. Not like it's much better in certain other plans. I used to think that I was really lucky that, hey, I'm in the union. I get that SAG-AFTRA health care. And then in 2020, actually probably 2021, but in the COVID times, SAG-AFTRA's like, oh, we can't afford this health care anymore, even though, we're the Screen Actors Guild. We have tons and tons and tons of wealthy people paying into this system. So we're going to make it so if your spouse has a job and they can get health care, even if it's way more expensive and worse health care, they have to take it. No more putting your spouse on your plan unless they're not working. Screw you for that, SAG-AFTRA.
Jessica Altman, executive director of Covered California, says if a member pays an average of $182 monthly for their premium, they can expect their cost to increase by more than $100.
What people on Covered California actually pay each month will rise an average of 97% in the state.
By the way, those are for the plans where you're afraid to use them because the coverage is so bad and you're out of pockets and everything else is. Our healthcare system's a mess.
Open enrollment for...
if we had adults in Congress who could figure out a way to make this better, that'd be great. But no, it's just constant saber rattling on both sides.
Open enrollment for Covered California begins on Saturday, November 1st. That means new enrollees could come, meaning higher demand despite the uncertain future of the program. Jenny Huh, ABC 10.
So there's all the latest with everything connected to the government shutdown. It's just a whole bunch of frustration and a whole bunch of finger pointing on all sides. And I'm irritated with all of it. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. If you don't get a chance to be in the car every day at 5 o'clock, or I don't know, you are listening to or watching a baseball game and you miss an episode of this show, I highly recommend you download the podcast of this show. Search for the KABC News Blitz wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to listen to a show from last week, go listen to the one that we did on Wednesday. Rob Bonta goes after plastic bags. That's a good one. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC. 1-800-222-5222. Your emails at randykabc@gmail.com and search for the KABC News Blitz wherever you get your podcasts. The one thing you heard from everyone in elected office in California this year, and the one thing you're going to hear from everyone running for governor next year, is affordability. It's too expensive to live here. It's too expensive to build here. You're going to hear this from a lot of people. Why don't we look into one of the reasons it is so expensive to build and live here by looking into what's going on in wine country, specifically Napa County, because what's going on there is emblematic of how much of a mess this whole system is for everybody when we try to make it more affordable to live in California. Let's go to KPIX in the Bay.
Napa County leaders are working to find a solution to the housing shortage in the wine country. This week, supervisors narrowly approved a new set of builders' fees on luxury homes and hotel projects.
Define luxury. Also, the way we make housing more affordable is by charging more to build housing.
It is intended to generate money for affordable housing, but as John Ramos reports, some people in the construction industry fear it might actually make the problem worse.
Wasn't this the whole concept behind Measure ULA, something that the brilliant voters of Los Angeles passed that was billed as the mansion tax, but ended up killing investment for any apartment buildings? There are currently none being built in Los Angeles, and ULA is part of the reason because any real estate transfer of over $5 million, which is any multifamily, well, now that's going to be subject to that tax. So, and that money was all supposed to, of course, go towards building affordable housing. Sounds like a grift.
There's no doubt that there's an acute need for affordable housing here in the Napa Valley, and the county is taking action to try to make that happen. But there are some who say what they're doing may result in very few houses of any kind being built here. First, the problem. The median income in Napa County is about $70,000, but the median home price is $977,000.
It's like LA.
That's a big problem for a region that relies so heavily on the labor of low-income vineyard workers.
When you look at our farm workers that are traveling from Stockton, from Lodi, to be able to come and work here, and their families are over there because they cannot afford the rental rates.
So at their Tuesday meeting, the Napa County Board of Supervisors approved a new set of developer fees.
The answer to making it more affordable to build here is not charging people more to build here. I don't care what kind of housing it's for. When you make everything more expensive in order to subsidize something else, that hasn't worked.
So at their Tuesday meeting, the Napa County Board of Supervisors approved a new set of developer fees to generate funds for affordable housing.
There's not a whole lot of candidates for governor that talk about this. Steve Hilton's probably the only one. The fact that one of the things that can be 20-30% of the cost of a home in California is when counties and cities levy things like this, impact fees. They are charging the builder, they're charging the developer a fee to get that permit. And what are these fees supposed to be for? You tell me.
While putting a major cost on so-called luxury housing. Generally, homes over 2,500 square feet would be taxed $43 per square foot, with the fee escalating to that rate over the next 3 years. The current fee is only $9 per square foot.
That's a whole lot. And last time I checked, 2,500 square feet isn't a luxury home.
Supervisor Belia Ramos made the motion that put the matter to a vote.
We have to look at what are we incentivizing. Mandating doesn't work, incentivizing does. We're incentivizing those smaller types of homes. I guess that's an opinion if you think 2,500 square feet is small.
The fee.
But are you incentivizing it if it's so expensive to build because of all the other impact fees and labor agreements and everything else? Unless, I hate to say it, but unless you're subsidizing it or the developer can make a profit, you're just going to see a whole bunch of homes not being built.
The fee for projects submitted after January 15th would only apply in the rural, unincorporated areas of the county. But in Napa Valley, building a 2,500 square foot home might not make a lot of sense, considering the exorbitant cost of the land underneath it.
I think all of us were shocked. Are we serious about it?
Gianna Giovannoni was at the meeting and said the size and abruptness of the fee hike took the entire construction industry by surprise. She works for Gadget.
And this is the kind of thing. You don't have a whole lot of certainty when you are building, because these kinds of things constantly keep happening. Increases in regulation from the state, increases in fees from the county and the city, and, well, it's going to keep driving up the cost. And last time I checked, outside of the people that get lottery Section 8 housing, it's very expensive to live here, whether you're in a tiny little apartment or you're in a massive house.
She works for Gadget Construction, the family business.
Do you think something like this would lead to more housing being built or less?
Less. I don't picture it being more, that's for sure. And they're probably going to be driving the wealthy developers to go anywhere else but Napa.
Mick Gadget is the owner of the
They're going to Sonoma.
Mick Gadget is the owner of the company. He points to a single-family home that he is currently helping to design. Is this one of the ones that might rethink what they're doing?
They may rethink what we're talking about here. They might just pull the plug on it. They want to add 600 square feet, and they might just pull the plug on it because we're talking, it's going to probably...
Every other state has the same materials. They ideally hire the same kinds of people to build these homes. What's making it so expensive is here. Yes, the land is expensive. I'll give you that. But the fees, the developer fees, the impact fees, all these little nickel and dimes from the cities and the counties, all that cost gets passed on down.
It's going to probably be approximately $60,000.
And then when you take all the money that you raise from that and you take anything else off the market and make it affordable housing, people in the middle are screwed. Unless you're lucky enough to win the Section 8 lottery, you're paying $2,000 for a studio, $3,000 for a studio.
It's going to probably be approximately $60,000 additional dollars in fees on this project.
Right now, only about 35 homes are built each year in the county's area, so the loss of even a few would make a big difference. Ironically, Mick says there may be a building boom initially.
they're going to get pushed in right now so they can avoid this tax. So we'll see a spike of construction. And then after that, everybody's going to be very aware of what's happening. So they're going to take their projects and shelve them.
And that's what happened with Measure ULA in Los Angeles. Right now, even with all the changes in zoning and everything else, it's so expensive to build. Los Angeles wants their cut that no one's doing it.
With state mandates, the Napa area is under the gun to build.
By the way, it's the one thing that I like about SB 79, that while I don't generally like local control being taken away, the LA City Council has been proven to be so corrupt, they should not be in charge of approving or disapproving anything at this point.
With state mandates, the Napa area is under the gun to build more housing. The county thinks the new fees may make that happen. Those who work in the industry don't seem to agree with that.
The families won't be able to afford to build their homes here, and you're probably going to be pushing more people out instead of bringing more people in.
This is how we begin to create a more livable community where everyone who works here can afford to live here.
Yeah, how's that working out? The same kind of stuff we hear in Los Angeles, and everything that's been done at the local level, the county level, and the state level has only made it more expensive.
The county sees it as a carrot and stick approach, but the builders seem amazed by the size of the stick.
And the original fee was proposed for homes over 2,000 square feet, but it was changed to 2,500 square feet at Tuesday's meeting. The measure was passed, but it will take one more vote for final approval of the amended proposal.
So there you go. Napa County's answer to the affordability crisis. Let's charge even more fees to make it even more expensive to build here. But don't you worry. All that money we're going to collect is going to affordable housing. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. With all the talk of California's housing crisis, California's affordability crisis, we need to rezone all single-family homes to apartment buildings. Has anyone ever thought, why don't we just build a new city? Well, that's what a bunch of tech bros are trying to do in Solano County with something they call California Forever. And originally, this was going to be a ballot measure last year, but they didn't think they had enough support. But they're bringing the idea back. And now what they're doing is they want to take an existing town, Suisun City, and turn it into a city as big as San Francisco. Let's see what's going on there and if they're going to be able to get that across the finish line. Here's CBS Sacramento.
A heated meeting tonight in Suisun City where
Suisun City, excuse me.
A heated meeting tonight in Suisun City where leaders gathered to update the community on the California Forever project.
That's the billionaire-backed plan to build a new city in Solano County, facing pushback since day one. Following the story.
Suisun City currently has a population of 29,000.
Following this story since day one, your reporter covering Solano County, Ashley Sharp. She went to that meeting and she joins us live with what was said at the debate tonight, meeting/debate, I guess, Ashley, huh?
There's always debate when this topic is involved, Tony. Tonight marked the second community meeting hosted by Suisun City, explaining to neighbors how we got here and what exactly is coming next. It comes as California Forever, the group that owns land the size of San Francisco in Solano County, just recently took their annexation plans and turned them over to Suisun City leaders who are now dissecting them. Now, they asked for some community feedback, and as has been the case since day one, neighbors had a lot to say.
I got to imagine it's quite the change if you are, in one of these farming counties where not a whole lot happens and someone wants to redevelop your whole land into a city. But when's the last time we even built a new city? I feel like it's been a while. I know up near Bakersfield, they've been trying to get that Tejon Ranch off the ground for years and years and years. Shouldn't we, if we keep talking about it's too expensive to live here and there's not enough places for people to live here, shouldn't we want another city? Of course, the concern here is that this is going to be like a mecca for tech bros, and that's about it.
We want to have dialogue. We want to be able to interact.
Monday night, about 100 Solano County neighbors packed an event hall in downtown Suisun City. 500 acres. The topic at hand is California Forever and their big plans for the county's smallest city.
Is that what the name's going to be? Or can they come up with a more fun name than California Forever? Where do you live? California Forever, California.
You are proposing to build an Oakland-sized city.
2 weeks ago, California Forever submitted their official application asking Suisun City to annex their new proposed city of up to 400,000 people alongside a large manufacturing park.
Analysis and feedback are what we're giving to California Forever right now. So we will continue to evaluate their specific plan.
Monday's meeting updated the community on where the project stands, followed by a question and answer forum. But for a moment,
excuse me. Okay.
It was interrupted by a few frustrated community members who had heard enough.
By the way, I'm just going to point this out over and over and over again. Local elected officials may respond to phone calls and they may respond to emails, and that probably works in Sacramento sometimes. But public comment at a hearing, they don't care what you have to say.
Sir, we're not going to do interruptions. We'll shut it down. We will shut it down.
Andrew Russo says he's lived in Suisun City for 15 years and argued this decision should be left to voters, not local leaders.
Yeah, that's where the locals are pissed off. They thought they'd get a say on this, but now, because the backers realized that wasn't going to pass because it did not have enough support, they figured, well, why don't we just go through the city council? You know, I'm sure they like money. But again, I don't think this is necessarily a bad idea. I don't live up there, but I don't see why a new city is off the table. For as much as, we need to redevelop everything in order to build more houses, there's a whole lot of empty space in California.
There's nothing the city will get out of it. It will destroy the character of this community.
The city says all feedback is heard loud and clear.
This is basically a massive house of cards. There's a lot of anxiety in the room over where you stand, where the city council stands on key issues that affect everybody.
Prabula responded that Suisun City owes California Forever due process and that talks with the group are in their early stages and not a done deal.
I want everyone to just give us the opportunity to explore what this could be instead of villainizing what it might be.
I mean, you might have to move, but you might get a big fat check for your land.
Ultimately, the data will tell us whether we should or shouldn't do this at the council level, and they get to make that decision.
Now, the question of how exactly all of this moves forward is what I hear most from people here in Solano County. So basically, there are two decision makers when it comes to greenlighting this process. After a lengthy city planning process, we're talking probably at least a couple of years into the future, Suisun City's city council will go to a vote. They'll decide whether to approve or reject the annexation proposal by California Forever. After that, it's out of the city's hands. It goes to the county's LAFCO board. Then they are the final decision on whether...
Oh, the bureaucracy. Even to get something like this off the ground, this would have been easier if they just went to the voters.
Then they are the final decision on whether or not this annexation can happen. So, again, we're talking far out into the future. But what we do know will be coming soon is some more of these community meetings.
And, of course, everything takes forever, which makes everything even more expensive. Whether you're trying to build here or build a new city, it's going to take forever and it's not going to be cheap. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC.